All right, y'all, we got the updated power rankings going into the 2025 NFL season, and things are about to get real because after a wild offseason and an explosive 2024 campaign, we're ranking the top 5 best teams who are likely to dominate this year. So let's get into it. Starting at the top, the Philadelphia Eagles are the reigning kings. Super Bowl 59 wasn't even close. They absolutely destroyed the Kansas City Chiefs 40-22. That was not a win. That was a goddamn dismantling. And the craziest part is they didn't even blitz once while sacking Mahomes 6 times. That was a generational defense performance. Now, we're talking about suffocating pressure with just the front four. Exactly what wins you championships. Plus, Jalen Hurts was surgical in that game. 72 yards rushing, 3 total touchdowns, and a complete command of the offense. That MVP wasn't handed to him. He ripped it out of Casey's hands. And what's scary is Philly didn't even lose their core. Other than Milton Williams and C.J. Gardner-Johnson leaving, they kept the same dogs that got them there. And then they've added depth through a smart linebacker-focused draft. So this team knows who they are, and they didn't panic in the offseason. Plus, the advanced stats also agree. ESPN's post-draft power rankings had them at number 2, and they're projected for 11.1 wins by multiple models, and they return as the most balanced squad in football. This offense ranked top 5 in explosive plays. And the defense, well, when you're generating pressure without blitzing, you're basically playing chess while everyone else is stuck on checkers. And let's not forget what separates Philly. They literally win in the trenches. Their O-line, even with Jason Kelce retired, is still anchored with dogs. Their D-line is stacked with rotational depth. And this guy you ever heard of, Jalen Carter, Jesus Christ, that guy's so good. This is how dynasties are built. Physical dominance and organizational continuity. So, if you're betting against them, you're betting against fundamentals. But moving on to number 2, we've got the Baltimore Ravens. And man, don't think they're not gunning for that top spot. The Ravens put together arguably the most explosive offense in football last year. Over 7,200 total yards. Lamar threw for 4,000 plus and rushed for 800 plus. That stat line alone is ridiculous. And to be honest, he should have won the MVP, but that's for a different video. And then if you add Derrick Henry, who nearly hit 2,000 rushing yards again, that is a Madden cheat code combo. Baltimore's offense wasn't just productive, it was efficient. They led the league in net yards per play at 1.6. They led the league in net yards per play at 1.6. They also led in EPA per play and were second in success rate. They weren't just gaining yards, they were getting the right yards, sustaining drives, chewing clock, and killing defenses with layered play calling. OC Todd Monken was unlocked. OC Todd Monken has unlocked this offense like something we've never seen. I mean, they were literally that dynamic last year. But the real story might be the defense. After a shaky start, first-year coordinator Zach Orr turned them into a monster. So from week 9 on, they were the top-scoring defense at 16.9 points per game. They ranked second in total defense, and they had the second-best passer rating against. And now they've gotten even better with the addition of Malachi Starks in the first round, allowing Kyle Hamilton to return to that joker role, roaming, freelancing, and just creating havoc in that back end. So you want star power? They also did that. They added DeAndre Hopkins to boost their red zone threat. Plus, they added Jair Alexander to shut down wide receiver ones and Awuzie to provide reliable veteran depth. There's no more glaring weakness in this roster. This is complete balanced team with an elite ceiling. And the analytics love them too. Pro Football Network gives them the highest Super Bowl probability at 16.9%. Betting markets have them the favorite at plus 650, and they're projected for 12.1 wins. Every model points the same way. This is Baltimore's window. Lamar's 28, Henry's still elite. The time is now. If they don't capitalize this year, to be honest, when will they? And at number 3, this is the reason why probably the Ravens and most AFC teams haven't gotten to the Super Bowl is the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, and I get it. They got humbled in the Super Bowl, but let's not be crazy. This is still the most stable dynasty in the NFL. I mean, for Pete's sake, they literally were going for a three-peat last year, which has never been done in NFL history. And I get it. Patrick Mahomes had a bad day at the office, but the dude's been to 5 AFC championships in the last 6 years, and that speaks louder than any one bad game. And I don't have to argue this to anyone. We all know this is still the best quarterback in football. Plus, Kansas City's structure is still unchanged. They still got head coach Andy Reid, GM Brett Veach, and of course, Mahomes at the throne. It's the best trio in the league, and they've reloaded better than anyone. Chad Reuter from NFL Network gave them an A for their draft class, and they addressed key areas like wide receiver depth and the O-line. So this team isn't just chasing windows. They literally live in it like every year. And their projected win total matched that because it sits at 10.8, and they remain a top 3 in almost all analytical ratings. The key now is reestablishing their offensive rhythm. Last year, there were signs of erosion. Mahomes didn't have a consistent wide receiver 1, and the run game really lacked punch. But with Rashee Rice back and some new rookies stepping up, they're in their prime position to bounce back faster than anyone. And we got to give a shout out to the defense because it was actually a strength last year, finishing top 10 in most categories. And when they return that core group, and they're going to return that core group. Plus if there's one, I'd say like issue of the defense though, it's got to be the depth of the secondary, especially if injuries hit. So they've really got to stay healthy, and hopefully they don't get bit by the injury bug. But still, with all of that, with Mahomes under center, he's giving you a shot every single week, every single season, every single postseason. So that alone keeps them in the top 3. But I will say, this might be the first year in a while where the pressure feels real. Baltimore and Buffalo are better on paper. The AFC West is getting stronger. So now KC's got to prove it again. If you made it this far into the video, you the real MVP. For real. I appreciate you. And if you're a diehard NFL junkie like me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because I drop NFL content almost daily. I'm talking breakdowns, rants, hot takes, all of that. And if you're a Bears fan like me, well, first off, I am very, very, very sorry because we have been through it. But if you want to suffer together in style, then check out my Bears podcast with my guy Dave. It's called the BFR Podcast, which is short for Bears Film Room. And it is the #1 show for the fans, by the fans, where we have weekly episodes, live shows, special guests, and most importantly, we don't sugarcoat a thing. And if you want to keep up with me, get a little laugh, or even see me smile during Bears games, then make sure to follow me on IG, TikTok, and Twitter at itsfickybaby, which is ITSFICKYBABY. All right, enough of the plug, I get it. Let's get back to the episode. Now, speaking of Buffalo, I have the Bills coming in at number 4, and this might be the best version of them that we've seen in the Josh Allen era. I mean, the man finally brought home the MVP, and it was well-deserved, even though I think Lamar should have got it, but still well-deserved. He did clean up the turnovers, he hit more deep shots, and he carried, I would say, a flawed roster to another division title. Now, this offseason, they definitely went all in. They made major moves, particularly on defense. They signed Joey Bosa, added Michael Hoyt, and then they also added in Larry Ogunjobi up front. That's a nasty front rotation. They've also drafted Landon Jackson on the edge and cornerback Maxwell Hairston to strengthen their secondary. On paper, this could be a top 10 defense. And the analytics are bullish on this too. 11.6 projected wins, the second best win odds at -160. And they consistently graded in the top 3 of DVOA projections. And offensively, there's still a dog with Allen back there. He's had reliable weapons like Khalil Shakur. He also still has Dawson Knox, and James Cook really took over as running back 1 last year. So this offense is no longer a one-man show like how it used to be in previous seasons. But what Buffalo needs to do now is what every team needs to do to make it to the Super Bowl, have playoff execution. We've seen them collapse season after season, year after year in key moments. This roster might be their best chance to erase those demons, but it starts with consistent play down the stretch, and the pressure's not just on Allen. It's on Sean McDermott, too. If they don't get this done this year, to be honest, changes are on the table. So they've definitely got to get over that playoff bug and find a way to beat out Baltimore and particularly to beat out the Kansas City. But that's really every team in the AFC, right? Try to find a way to beat out Kansas City. Now, rounding out the top 5, we've got the Detroit Lions. And yeah, they're for real. This is no longer that Cinderella team, that feel-good team. This team went 15-2 in 2024. And also, they led the league in scoring with 564 points. They weren't just sneaking up on people. They were basically blowing the doors off. And Dan Campbell, shout out to him because he's built a blue-collar machine. They're physical, they're aggressive, and they're fearless. Plus, Jared Goff has played the best football of his career, and Ben Johnson dialed up one of the most creative offenses in the NFL for the 3rd year straight. But even more impressively, they did this while being the most injured team in the league. Now they're getting almost everyone back, and most importantly, Aiden Hutchinson is healthy. Look, he was tracking to be a front runner for Defensive Player of the Year before his injury, and now he's back to anchoring this defensive line. That's a game changer. With Hutch, Brian Branch, and Jack Campbell developing and continuously progressing, this Lions defense might finally have some teeth. Now, forget the draft for a second, because the biggest portion of this is like what I mentioned, their health and continuity. But there are two massive challenges ahead. First, they lost both of their coordinators, offensive and defense, with Ben Johnson going to Chicago and Aaron Glenn going to the New York Jets. That's a real gut punch. It's really going to test their leadership and really going to test to see how well Dan Campbell is as a head coach. And secondly, the NFC North is kind of stacked. Green Bay's ascending, and they've always been playoff contention. Chicago Bears are definitely ascending, and it looks like they're reloaded with the addition of the Lions' old offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, and even Minnesota can't be overlooked. Crazy defense last year. We'll just have to see what J.J. McCarthy is as a rookie quarterback. So, saying all that, Detroit's margins for error are razor thin. But even still with all that, they're projected at 10.1 projected wins and returning MVP candidate, and they still have a returning MVP candidate in Goff. Plus, they might have a chip on their shoulder this year after their epic loss to the Commanders in that blowout loss in the NFC Championship. So, Detroit rounds out this list at number 5, but this season will test them in ways 2024 particularly didn't. They're no longer the underdogs. They're now the hunted. Okay, that's my top 5. So I want to know from you, who do I have too high? Who do I have too low? Who was missing from the list? Are the Ravens still ready to take the leap? And is Philly still untouchable? Let me know in the comments. I love to chop it up. Let me know if my takes are trash. And as always, if you like this, please make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on other NFL daily content that I post. And remember, stay sharp, stay dangerous, and I'm out. Peace.